You know what I'm saying? That because I mean, you look like you slimmed down a little bit too.
Yeah, I have. I mean, that's old news though. But the good thing about you losing weight is your beard is really starting to fill out. I mean, it's starting to look like you have a full beard now instead of like a patchwork. You know, like.
So my fat has to do with how full my beard looks.
I mean, because your face was bigger, so it looked like you had patches.
You know what?
You look like Samuel L. Jackson in that movie where he was like a fighter.
Fucked up. Now I gotta be fucking Samuel L. Jackson. Cool. All right, mother. Bro, hey, let's go into the show.
It's over! Oh, what a right hand!
Welcome to InDaClinch with Chuck and D. I'm Chuck.
And I'm the performance enhancement drug.
That'll work.
That'll work.
All right, man. We're gonna recap the Strikeforce event that happened this past Saturday, which was January 27th.
29th.
29th. Sorry. January 29th. And we're going to talk about the big event that's coming this Saturday, UFC's second pay-per-view of the year, the Belfort Silva fight card. But first, let's recap Strikeforce. Again, Strikeforce puts on an amazing show on Showtime.
Another one.
And the great thing is we were in and out in less than an hour.
Yeah,
it took less than an hour of your life.
You have to understand too that with how Strikeforce operates, I mean they don't show all of their fights that's on that fight card. They
Just
show
the
like
good
the four on Showtime. So,
right.
But I mean, to me they had the fight card was a packed fight card and was well entertaining.
Yeah. You had Herschel Walker's second fight as a MMA professional.
You know, and I was on Facebook and I was Facebooking while I was watching the fight, and usually Twitter while I watch the fights too. And somebody was like, "Well, Herschel Walker needs a test." No, he doesn't. It's his second fight. Look, the dude is a beast. He's
strong.
He is strong. He would not last in a heavyweight fight and with any of the top heavyweights in that class.
Nobody in
Rogers, Verdum, Arlovsky. I don't think it would. You know what? That would be a good fight to see. Herschel Walker versus Andrei Arlovsky.
I mean, here's the thing. Herschel Walker is strong, and he's just one of them cats that anything he does, he's going to be fairly good at.
Right.
I mean, the dude pushed a cart in the Olympics down a hill, for Pete's sakes. I mean, the dude is going to be good at whatever. I mean, but going into the fight, he's fighting a dude that, won his last 4 fights by submission. We know that the submission was one of Kimbo's downfalls.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, too, I mean, he's in a good camp. Herschel Walker's in a good camp. He's going to take some more time. I mean, how much time?
I mean, he can't take a lot of time.
Right, because, he's 48. He's 48 years old. He kind of he peaked way long ago. But, his
he
physical...
could be your daddy.
He could. His physical appearance... His physique, his stamina, everything is perfect and on time. But right now,
I just like how when the dude stuck him and stunned him, he did Crazy Joe.
Whoa! Yeah. And then afterwards, when he was saying, "I want to thank my son Christian," I thought he was gonna break out in some old Negro spiritual. Man, I was in the house preach, Herschel, preach. I want to say
the second fight of the night was Jacare the Alligator versus Robbie Lawler, and this fight went exactly the way that anybody that fights Robbie Lawler, you don't want to stand up with this guy.
Why Jacare even attempted to stand up?
Because he got hit.
He got hit, and he found out real quick, okay, I'm a world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter. I'm taking this to the ground.
I'm telling you, Lawler was wearing a Jacare coat on the ground because Jacare was
just... he was all, yes. I mean, he couldn't... Jacare had great movement all over the ground on Robbie Lawler. I mean, Robbie Lawler's downfall is his back.
He's Robbie Lawler's second skin in that fight, and he ended up choking Lawler out. Which
and which is shocking is because he trains with Matt Hughes. You would think his back game would be a little bit better, but who am I to say? Because I'm gonna tell you, my back game sucks. Hey, Paul, if you see this video, I need help. Hey, shout out to Peak Performance BJJ.
And then the fight of the night, and I'm gonna tell you, I hate the Diaz brothers, but I'm starting to gain
No. I hate Nate Diaz. Nick Diaz, it's
funny. Like you hated Nick Diaz, like everybody hated Nick Diaz when he's in the UFC, but since he's made this transition over to Strikeforce, you can get. I'm starting to gain a respect for the man. The man is definitely. I'm gonna say this: a different fighter now than he was when he was younger.
He's a triathlete.
Yeah,
and the guy's conditioning is amazing. First of all, I thought that fight was going to end how the Pat Barry fight ended at the Fight for the Troops. How like Pat Barry just kept kicking my man's legs. And it's like because Cyborg was going to work on them that inside leg kick. And then all of a sudden he was. I'm gonna tell you something. I think the Diaz brothers. I think they somebody may have set them down and done something to them. Physically taken out a nerve somewhere because they feel no pain.
I think that. Like what we were talking about over the phone, I think that when the light bill comes in, they just take turns hitting each other in the face.
First one to get knocked out, gotta pay the light bill.
First person that says "ow,"
right,
is gonna pay the light bill because Cyborg was hitting Diaz and he just.
Hey, what is a car ride with you and with him and his brother like? Hey, can you see them two motherfuckers driving down? Hey, we're driving down the street like this. Oh, it's on.
It's a mean mug contest.
I mean, and I want to know
slug bug.
Who was he talking to in the crowd? Was Mayhem Miller there? Because I know him and Mayhem hate each other.
I don't know.
I want to see that fight happen. I want to see Jason Mayhem Miller fight.
Cyborg gave it his best shot.
He did. Diaz might hold that belt for a while.
Yeah, it's looking that way.
Okay.
But this coming Saturday, it's the UFC's biggest fights of the year so far.
UFC 126.
UFC 126. The headliner is Belfort Silva. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's start out with Cerrone versus Paul Kelly.
I think this
fight of the night.
Probably not fight of the night. This fight will propel Donald Cerrone into a title contention at lightweight. That's my opinion. I like the Cowboy. I think he's a hard-nosed fighter. If you watched him come from the WEC to the UFC and how he's his camp. He's a Jackson camp. He fights with all the Jackson fighters. He fights and trains up in Colorado with them as well as Albuquerque. These guys are tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think right now the two best camps to come out of is either Jackson's camp or AKA in Sacramento or Fresno or the Bay Area, wherever it's at. That he comes from a really good camp, and Paul Kelly is not a punk.
Paul Kelly ain't no punk.
I mean, he has good striking, good ground and pound. But Donald Cerrone, to me, is one of those fighters he's well versed in everything.
Right. And he's on that hot track.
He is on a hot track right now. So
Donald, you going Donald Cerrone?
I'm gonna pick Cerrone because Cerrone knows that this is kind of like the Jamie Varner fight all over again for him. You need to win this in order to prove yourself.
Right.
Are you going to be that next guy at lightweight? And he has the height, he has the speed, he has the talent to prove he could be a lightweight contender.
I'll tell you this much: I like Donald Cerrone more than I like the other two lightweights that we just watched fight, which was
yes. I mean, I like Gray Maynard. I hate a wrestler. And I wish we could see. Don't get me wrong. I like both of them. I think they're two wrestlers who don't mind standing and striking.
Right.
And that's what I appreciate that in MMA.
All right, so both of us are going for Cerrone. So the next fight is Torres versus Benuelos, and this is really the debut of the bantamweight division and a UFC fight card.
Another awesome fight class, a fight division entering into the UFC. Two to me of the best bantamweights in the world.
Torres and Benuelos.
Torres held that belt for a while. Had a killer like streak of where he hadn't been beaten. I mean, he had lost a few, and I think he's really came back and found himself over again.
Right.
Now Benuelos is not a punk. He fights out of the pit. I'm not sure if a lot of you remember, but he was the right hand man for Chuck Liddell for a really long time. Right. So I mean, you gotta understand both these guys are respected as bantamweights. I'm gonna go with Torres on this one, and simply because of his jiu-jitsu. Torres has great stand-up. He's a little wild at times, and I think Benuelos is a little bit as well, but Torres' jiu-jitsu is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going Torres with this one as well. Next fight, and this is my favorite fight of the night. Out of all of these fights that are going to be on this UFC fight card, which there's a lot of them, it's probably
this is a stacked card.
This is one of the most stacked cards that UFC has put together. John Bones Jones and Ryan Bader is going to be a hell of a fight.
It is. Technically two undefeated fighters in the UFC.
It's two undefeated fighters. We're not going to get into that.
Yes, two undefeated fighters. I'm saying it. Two undefeated fighters.
Two phenomenal wrestlers.
Two good strikers. Even though I think Johnny Bones Jones holds the edge over Ryan Bader.
I'm gonna tell you this. Look, John Bones Jones has faced some phenomenal wrestlers since he's come into the UFC. He's a JUCO champion, and I'm gonna tell you something. As a JUCO champion, he's made some heavy collegiate wrestlers look like shit.
Yes.
And I don't see it happening any different here. He's just too wily.
I think he's more athletic.
He's more athletic.
A lot more athletic.
Bader is really just a come forward kind of guy, and John Bones Jones, his striking is I mean, it may not be Anderson Silva-esque yet, but it's well on its way to being there, and I think John Bones Jones dominates this fight and wins this fight against
I
Ryan
won't
Bader.
say it's going to be a domination. It's going to be a dog fight. This is going to be a dog fight, but I think Johnny Bones Jones holds the edge in this fight.
Speaking of dogs, Rich Franklin and the ever escapable Forrest Griffin.
I'm going with Forrest on this one.
I think both of these guys are phenomenal athletes. I think Forrest Griffin, just has a he's got an edge
Rich Franklin is coming off the knockout of Chuck Liddell.
But it's Chuck Liddell.
Everybody kind of got to that point.
It's like the Village Bicycle.
Everybody took a ride on that mug. Yeah.
I mean,
I hate to
who
say
hasn't
it.
knocked Chuck out lately?
Right. Another dog fight. It will be a dog fight though.
Yeah. And then, to me, this is just another attempt at White trying to dethrone Anderson Silva as the champion, because I really don't think that he likes having Anderson Silva as his champion. They've dusted off Vitor Belfort and brought him out to get served up to Anderson Silva.
This is going to be a good fight. I think Anderson learned from the Chael Sonnen fight of what not to do anymore. And, I mean, it's Anderson Silva. If he's been training like he say he's been training, this should be a good fight.
I just think that Anderson Silva's starting to catch on that they really – I don't think they really like having Anderson Silva as a champion.
Right.
They really buy into all this hype
that
Anderson Silva doesn't work hard in fights.
What you got to understand, too, is that tough is a thing that where you want to get the English speaking champs so that they can do a show of tough, which they've never had him as a coach or to do the middleweight because I want to thank my fans. But I love that guy.
I think Vitor Belfort is going to get destroyed. The guy hasn't fought in years. I mean, it's been over a year that he's fought. Anderson Silva is on the top of his game, man. It doesn't matter if it's on the floor, standing up.
I think it'll still be another dog fight, but I just don't think it's going to be close. I got Anderson Silva
all day.
If you go against Anderson, I mean, if you going against Anderson, you better go to and put some money down on the books and pray that you win.
That's all we got. We'll be back next week with a recap of the UFC event and also to talk about some boxing. So until next time, I'm Chuck.
And I'm Dean.
And you were in the clinch.